Hi, this is Tom from Tooll, and in this tip of the day, I want to talk about color grading and give you like a super short, I mean, color grading. It's a job, like people do this for a living. So, but I can give you like a 5-minute introduction that helps you to get going. So let's look at this beautiful fork here and let's apply color grading. So yes, there is adjust colors and all these kinds of things. And normally you would use hue situation, brightness, things like that. But actually I only use color grading for everything related to colors and contrast and things like that. So, and to know what we are doing, we have this waveform operator here. And let's pin this. And this waveform operator does two things. It adds a vectorscope. So this vectorscope shows the distribution of situation along the hue circle. So on top you have the reds, on the right here, lower right, you have the blues, and on the top bottom left you have these green colors. And we can nicely see like the distribution of colors here. So we have all the blues here in the bottom right. We have a lot of like orange greenish thing, which is like this area, and some random distribution along the way. On the bottom we have the waveform, which is a visual representation of the brightness and color distribution along the image. So we see like, for instance, this wave here of white. This is like this representation here. And we will see later better examples that how to understand that. So let's go back to our color grade. And we want to quickly talk about like lift, gamma, gain. And this is the main tool most color grading artists are using. So it sounds scary, but once you understand it, it's super powerful and very easy to use. And to be frank, this is the feature this is the reason I'm no longer using Photoshop for color grading, because it's not available in there. So lift, if you have like these buttons here right now, they are completely transparent, because transparency here, the alpha channel, is the opacity. And we see that they are pure gray, which means with 50% gray, it does nothing. If we drag with the right mouse button here, you can change the intensity. And lift, you see it lifts like the lowest areas of this image, the darkest, and basically it lifts the shadows. And it also, if you move below pure gray, it will cut off the shadows into pure black. Don't do this, because it will add like color bending and stuff. So be careful with what you're doing there. The opposite side is the bright end of the spectrum. So gain, if you drag this here, you will see how like these this colors here will exceed pure whiteness. And then you have like this color clamping. So don't do this either. It's bad. It's real bad. And you can nicely see how like these colors are being cut off, because it's only like some of these components now have like they are pure white. Um, and so now they are squeezed along like these three main axes for the hue. Um, let's reset this, and then we have gamma, which is basically the thing in the middle. So you can see like the shadows and brightness stay the same, but the middle area we can change in brightness. And then of course we can apply this also to color. So if you take this here and then you drag these areas, you can with gain nicely tone the image. You see how like these situations are shifted there. And same with gain. So since this is the brightness of the color, with this you can easily add, for instance, a orange teal Michael Bay Hollywood look by cranking this to orange and going to shadows and cranking this to teal, and then it will look like a Michael Bay fork. We can also change the situation here, and this it's called pre-saturation, because it will be applied before the color correction. And we nicely see the vectorscope there. So if we crank this to 0, we see that now like we have this orange teal distribution of the colors. And yes, go full Michael Bay. Um, so Then let's reset all this. We also can introduce a vignette. Sometimes it's super useful. And so let's add this. So let's maybe add a black vignette here. Of course, you can also add a white vignette. And what's nice about the vignette, why it's super useful, is you can actually change the position of the vignette, which means you can crank it up and say like maybe, or let maybe we move this down a little bit. And we could say maybe there's a bright light coming from above. So we introduce some sunlight and then we can move like this around here. So I quickly talked about the alpha value. So if you drag up down with the left mouse button, you can actually change the opacity here. This does nothing because right now it's 50% gray. So there's no effect applied more strongly. But if we go here to the vignette color and we crank up the alpha, we see how this is going out of bounds and introduce a lot of clamping. So don't do this either. And of course, we have like all these little presets you can hover and blend by holding the Alt key. So I have this little setup here, so we can quickly show how to apply that on an actual scene. So we have a torus mesh, and then we displace this, then we draw this mesh, we set some fog, a point light, and a random camera that rotates around the scene. We render this, and then we add some glow. So if we replace our texture with this thing, we now have the scene here. Then of course we can like try to find a color grading here, but we can also maybe also go into render target and increase the background color here a little bit. We see some more. We can start tweaking colors. So we say like maybe like this red thing, we already see this is nice to like now we can understand the waveform, what's going on here. So nothing is below this gray color, or maybe like in the middle we see that there are darker colors here, which is like these. And sometimes we see if we move around like this glow area and pause this here, we see how these white colors are being clamped here. And I once learned that color clamping is bad, 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 and you go to hell if you clamp colors. So let's fix this. So we drag this down a little bit until we have like less color clamping, and then of course we want to add more brightness, so we introduce this back again a little bit. And so we can actually balance your tone a little bit. Maybe we add a little bit of like this softness there, and maybe tweak this a little bit into make it more soft, and maybe play around with these things here. So one thing that might be interesting, so I'm running out, this is no longer a quick tip, but anyways, it might be useful that you hear this. So you might have noticed, but probably not, that this color picker here, yes, like the radius is the saturation. And of course, like in the center, it's not saturated at all, and the edge is fully saturated, but this is not a linear gradient. So there is, if we drag this here, we see the saturation in the center is 0. If we drag this outside, we see how this is changing very slowly. So we, like in the center, we have like 33, and here we have like super slow saturation. And then in the outer regions, like the saturation is changing drastically. And the reason for that is that it just makes color grading so much easier to have like these subtle changes here. Yeah, and sometimes, so like if you get an image like this, so let's make the opposite. So sometimes you have an image that has like a color casting. Maybe you have a video, like I think there should be an image there. Look, it's overcast and it didn't have like proper white balance. Let's add a color grade here. So we see that the vectorscope is there. Then you can actually just pick this here and drag it back into there. Maybe we take the white thing, the white lace colors, and drag them, and like take the opposite. So it should be less from blue. And then maybe we take this one and drag them to the opposite direction, the shadows. And okay, this is not working at all. Like I hope it would be. But yeah, sometimes what I'm trying to do is basically I changing these colors. I'm not looking at the colors. I only should look at the vector scope, and I want to basically move them into the center. And now, if we go back to this place, we see that this is like, of course, it has like this greenish look, and this is a very, it's more like conformed. One last tip that might be useful. There's an operator called compare images, which might be handy. Compare images. It wants two textures, and we stick that. Also, you can actually change the rotation here. And this might be very handy to see before and after. You can actually even split this here, so you can see the nice white clamping here, and then you can go in here and change the white clamping so that it's no longer clamped. Yeah, I hoped you learned something today, and might be useful to apply these kind of things to your own projects. Let me know what you think in the comments. I guess I will see you tomorrow. Bye.